Welcome to the Live Greater podcast. Today's guest is Jami Lee. Welcome, Jami.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be a part of your space.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited to learn from you. So, Jami, can you tell the audience a little bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think some of my favorite markers are that I'm a homeschooling mom of 7 children, and I'm a nutritional health coach. I also have 4 stepsons. So I have a what I think is the technical term for that is a gaggle of children. If you look up what a gaggle means, it is a gaggle of children. But that's really where my heart is, those 2 areas of, really nourishing my family and learning and growing in the areas of nutrition and things like that. That's really where I am.
Awesome. So how is that? Have you always homeschooled your children, or did you
I'm
transition
actually
that?
a second generation homeschooler. So I was raised homeschooling, and it's crazy because when I started homeschooling when I was in 2nd grade, and by the time I was 17, in my senior year, I was working for the University of Illinois, and I was teaching senior vet students how to remove brains from animals in the necropsy floor. Like that was the benefit of homeschooling, is that I really got to dive into my education where I wanted to, which led me to learning to read medical journals. As I call them, they're my romance novels. I love to read medical journals. But yeah, so that was that gifting of homeschooling to be able to do that with my children, for me, made me want to do it with my children and prioritize my career, prioritize my whole entire life surrounding being able to give them that kind of enriched education. And it's really benefited us all,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we homeschool ourselves, and I have a daughter that loves medical stuff, and she has her own medical book because she just studies that just for fun. So yeah, so that's fun. The homeschooling allows them the freedom to just dive into what really interests them and allows them to just
Yeah.
grow in their own way. So I love homeschooling too.
Yeah.
So.
We're really blessed to be able to do that. I know that not everybody can do it, and it's not for everybody.
Right.
I know it's really a blessing that we have, and it's for the children who are in it's very unique in the way that they are able to really explore themselves. And you as a parent, you get to see their giftings like in a total different way, right? Because you see where they're accelerating and be able to really encourage that. So yeah, that was kind of my life, my background, when went straight into the veterinary field and was working with pathologists and, the whole nine. It was pretty incredible. That experience just gave me a real love for understanding of way our body works. And, although I will say I got a little burnt out on working with animals, because where I worked at the U of I, it was necropsy. It was animals that had passed. And so that was not very life-giving, if you can imagine. But then, I knew my desire was to be a mom, and my desire was to be a homeschooling mom, and my desire was to have 7 children. So, my life just really took another level up, went to that whole nother arena, right?
Yeah. So what brought you into that field of medicine, like at an early age, it sounds like? So what drew you to that? Did you live on a farm or something, or?
Yeah, I lived on a farm.
Okay.
So I grew up on we rented our farm growing up. Well, my parents came from like California and Central Illinois. So when they came together, they're really city kids. They're not country.
Okay.
And they married at 16 and 18, and they had 9 children together.
Wow.
And so I'm the second oldest of that family. And so they gave birth to this country kid, right? I was like full on, gotta be in the country, gotta be like dissecting things and learning and exploring and learning Latin so I can understand medicines and different things like that, right? And they're just like, I don't know what to do with you. So they were blessed with the opportunity to move out in the country when I was about 9 years old. And when I got that opportunity, there was a cattle farmer that brought in like 60 head of cattle. There was, he also brought in horses for me to care for and take care of. And that just like grew exponential love for animals and nature and science. And I was this 9-year-old out there chasing cows and making sure they had water and fixing fences and things like that. So responsibility was a big part of my childhood.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but it kind of transferred into the medical world with people when I started to one, take care of my children. You know, as mom, you're constantly trying to help support them. I had one child, as I started to learn more about healthy foods and how to eat right. I had one child in particular that started showing a lot of signs of like autoimmune issues, a lot of coughing, a lot of asthma, things like that. Like it was very alarming. I found out later that my idea of healthy was actually hurting him. He was allergic to honey and I had no idea. And I was like staying away from refined sugars and giving him honey and just, you know, like poisoning the poor kid. I had no idea because it's not a common, like you read about honey and the allergens with it and it's all that they heal allergies, right? So I had no idea that this was really triggering a lot in him, which made me dive deeper into it. And then later on, I had an episode with my dad, and that was really where things really took root. My father was diagnosed with a blood clot that started in his pulmonary artery, and it went down both ankles. It was all the way through his body. The doctors basically said that he was going to have one or both of his legs amputated, and that he was going to be in the nursing home for 6 months to a year, if not indefinitely. This was very devastating to my family. My mom and dad, like I said, had raised 9 children, homeschooled them, worked their whole entire lives, and they were about to be empty nesters. My dad was in his mid 50s, and he was a private investigator, flew all over the United States as the top private investigator for his company. And then this, and it was straight to a nursing home, and it was game over.
at
And it was
50,
very interesting. I'm sorry, at 56.
56. Wow. I mean, that's young.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is exactly. And at that moment, when the doctor called my mom, I'll never forget it. When his doctor called my mom in the waiting room, the surgical waiting room, he just basically was disgusted at the whole situation because he couldn't fix it. So he's just like, he's going to have his legs amputated. He's going to have to go into a nursing home. And he's like, the best thing you can do is staple his stomach, which his blood clots were not related to eating bad. They were a genetic blood clot disorder. But of course, he's not healthy. He was 450 pounds. He was, extremely overweight, but a lot of that was also edema from the blood clots. My mom fell to her knees and sobbed. And I immediately stood up and I said, nope, that is the doctor's diagnosis, but it's not God's prognosis. I said, food is going to heal him, and I don't know how, but it will. And my mom had to really borrow my faith in that, because in her world, it was game over. She had been a homeschooling mom and a freelance writer, but never had to be dependent upon to write and make a living for them. My dad was the breadwinner. And so this was pretty devastating to them both. But I just knew in my gut that it was good time to change. So I always joke, I knew at the time as much about nutrition that I could fill like a Post-it note. Like, I mean, I could really fill that Post-it note out about nutrition, but that was about the amount that I knew, right? But somehow it was that word that was spoken over him that was like, nope, this is not God's diagnosis, this is God's prognosis. So that took me to a whole another level, and I started to research and learn. And my mom and I hired a nutritionist to come in and teach us how to feed him while he's in that nursing home. And 3 meals a day, we brought him meals and fed him. And within 90 days of him eating our home foods that we were making, and very strategically making him these foods, In 90 days, he walked out of there with 100 pounds less.
Wow.
He reversed his type 2 diabetes, which nobody talks about being able to reverse type 2 diabetes or illnesses, but they're reversible. And then he walked out of there with keeping both of his legs. So he was able to walk almost a mile a day, and going from you have to have everything chopped off and there's no hope for you to here's your life back, right?
Wow.
It was mind blowing to me, the power of food, and really that frequency of foods that God gave us. It is powerful, right?
Yeah.
It can do so much. It's really life-giving. I always think back to like his when we have this communion with him, there's this way of your communion with him is feasting, right? And so there's got to be life in food, but the foods that we have nowadays is not, in processed foods and things like that, they're not life-giving. They're not the type that God created us to consume.
Yeah.
So I won't go down that dirty path, but for sure it changed my life, and it changed the trajectory of what I was doing, and gave me more confidence in saying, okay, this is life-giving, and this is where I want to go. Fast forward to a couple of years later, my daughter was diagnosed with polyarticular arthritis. That was scary. As your dad, he's an adult. It's kind of that responsibility of like you're helping him, you want to save his life. But when it's your daughter and she's 10, and you're looking into two paths. One, to give her the medications that the doctors want her on. They wanted her on injections once a week for the rest of her life.
Wow.
And pain medicine around the clock, whether she needed it or not. And they informed me that the medication they were going to give her would never put her in remission, that they only stabilized the progression of the arthritis, right? And then they also told me that if I didn't do this route, she would be crippled within 8 months. So that was like somebody took that, that time capsule thing, or the what do you call it? The sand thing. And they turned it over 8 months, and it was like, go, and it was terrifying because I was looking at if I tried the natural route, I was going to cripple her. And I couldn't do that either, but I also researched the medication, and it causes bleeding behind the eye. It causes all sorts of different things. She could never get pregnant on it. And again, it was not fixing anything. It was only stabilizing. So
can I ask you a question? You just said the natural way that of food and things couldn't help her, or what were you saying?
That's what I was told. So
Okay.
when I asked her, I said, what about gluten-free? I said, can I at least go gluten-free? And she goes, honestly, it's a waste of money. She said, but there's no studies to prove that food causes inflammation. And she's wrong, because there are so many studies out there. But I'm glad that she said that, because that made the little stubborn person in me go, but you're wrong. I experienced what I experienced with my dad. You can't tell me anything different, because I just witnessed it, So, but that was also handicapping me, saying that, okay, food's not going to fix this. And food is the only modality that I know how to work with her. So it made me question myself, of course, and fear that I would cause that, to happen. So I took her to a second doctor, and this doctor, he's very natural minded. He's a naturopath. And he did a biofeedback reading on her and found that she actually had Lyme's disease. And anytime you have a virus like that, it will trigger autoimmune diseases. So that made more sense to me as to why she all of a sudden had arthritis. So his regimen, his plan of action was to put her on about $1,000 worth of supplements a month and a strict juice diet. I don't know if you've ever tried to put a horse pill down a 10-year-old's throat.
It's not that possible.
No. and it was a prison in itself. It was two prisons, the natural world of supplements and juicing and all of that, and then the prison of conventional medicine. And as a mom, and knowing that she's my child, not a statistic, she's not, she's not a number, she's not just a patient number, she's my child. I've been gifted her. I knew that I had to dive in deeper and really find solutions for her.
And I think that point is, it's important that mothers follow their intuition, like to really ask questions and find out real answers. And like you went to at least two doctors, not just to go to one diagnosis of whatever it may be, not medical, or, it could be anything, but to really ask questions and to trust your gut.
Absolutely. And that's key. And I say that over and over. And, when I work with my clients, I always say, what is your intuition saying? What is your gut saying? Really hone into that, because you're right. Like that was the key to all of this for her healing. If I would have just surrendered her to the prognosis, then her life would look so different. Today, she's 17. She's like full of life. In 90 days of treating her, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but in 90 days of treating her with just food, she was completely healed of both Lyme's and her arthritis. But, that took a lot of going through that path of finding people and systems and modalities and, and just understanding what's out there and how the body works and how the body was created. And that's what's so powerful, is that our body was created to heal itself. Yeah. We just have to fuel it to heal itself. And I truly believe that there's nothing that you can't heal. I mean, I've read studies of people completely destroying their entire spine and being paralyzed and still being able to heal themselves. The body is perfectly designed. It is so perfectly designed.
Yeah, God is amazing. he created he created amazing beings.
He did. And the more you dive into how our body works, the more I'm in awe of what he did. It's just like, oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how, just that faith that you took, and you went with it and asking, and you took these trials, with your dad and your daughter, and now it's made a strength for you, all these things about food. So how did you go about helping your daughter with the foods? I mean, it's interesting that both were 90 days. I find that interesting.
I do too. And, honestly, I've built my entire program around that. Like, 90 days. But if you think about it, your body regenerates every cell in your body in 90 days. Okay. So if you're fully nourishing and you are unlocking those foods and making them bioavailable, then your body will know exactly what to do with them. It will start putting it where it needs to go. But for my daughter, developing this process, I had to go to yet a third doctor. And I just after 3 weeks of putting her in making her swallow horse pills and full juice fast and everything else, I said, I can't do this anymore. And so I went to a third doctor and I said, look, I need you to support me. I'm going to attempt to heal her body with food, but I'm not going to, in my own pride, cripple her, right? I don't want that to happen. So I need someone to support me in this process and pull the trigger if it's time to put her on conventional medicine. I will succeed if I have one person that says it's time, And he supported me in that. And he gave me all the education that I need. He said, read this book, do this, and really equipped me as a mom. And he's like, I have no doubt you're going to help her. And so with that, that's where I started to learn and develop how to make foods bioavailable, how to maximize them. We've gotten away from the way we eat foods, the way our ancestors ate foods, and the way our body is designed because of our ancestors. We've moved away from that because we're a fast food society. We're a quick fix society. So nothing has very little foods out there are made bioavailable. So it's that lost art of preparing foods and making foods and eating combinations of foods.
Can you
So that's,
explain bioavailable? What is?
so in other words, your body is ready to receive it. That's
Okay.
the best way to explain it, is like it is ready to receive. So there's lots of foods that your body has to do. It has to really work hard to process that. It really has to go through and find the nutrients and convert it or hold on to it so that it can convert it later when the next foods come in. Bioavailable to me, and making foods bioavailable, is through your microbial health.
Okay.
So that means really focusing on your gut health and creating that gut microbiome in the most natural, perfect way. So again, science has caught on to this. And so that's why they're saying, oh, well, you just need a probiotic. Now we're finding that we have to have a prebiotic for our probiotic, right? And then the really trending ones are now the post probiotic, the postbiotic. I mean, we're all three. So now we need the pre, the post, and it's like, people, let's just eat real food. Let's eat food that is your post, your pre. Let's eat sauerkraut. Let's eat kimchi. Let's eat kefir. Let's consume these foods that naturally have that in there, that are breaking down those foods and communicating to the cells, this is what we need. This is where we're going to put it.
Yeah, I have several daughters who love kimchi. So that's always
awesome.
Yeah, I can handle it a little bit here and there, but but yeah,
even sauerkraut. Let's look at sauerkraut. So for example, sauerkraut, if you took a probiotic pill, chances are you're going to pay $60 and it's going to have 5 billion strands. That's going to be in a probiotic, right? I used to work in the supplement industry. I've seen it 1,000 times. That's what everybody wants. Oh, it's 5 billion. That's perfect, right? So if you were to take that probiotic pill and every day take your probiotic, you still have to feed it. So now you're going to need some sort of fiber or prebiotic. You're going to have to take like psyllium husks and capsules and be able to feed those microbes, because those microbes are live organisms. They need food in order to survive. So now you're going to have to feed those organisms to keep them in there. Well, sauerkraut, in 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut, it has over 1 trillion microbes. And it comes with your fiber that is your prebiotic. It's all packaged. It's right there, 1 tablespoon versus what you're getting, a fraction of what you're getting in a pill. And the next level of that is, if you look at a manufactured probiotic pill, do you ever see the movie WALL-E?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you know how in WALL-E, they've got all of these humans that are just fat and lazy, and they're everything's catered to them. Their drink comes around and hands it to them. They don't have to lift a finger, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to move. They don't have to do anything. If you were to look under a microscope at a probiotic that was manufactured, that's what it would look like. Fat, lazy, and can die off really easily.
Huh.
However, if you look at a cultured probiotic through sauerkraut or cultured lemons or kimchi, they're going to be the bodybuilders. They're going to be so robust and so strong. And that's what's going to be building that community. That's what's going to be reproducing in your body, like that. So you're saving yourself so much time, maximizing your benefits by really focusing on live cultured foods to help build that gut microbiome.
Okay. So how would people know what to eat? Like I know a health fair coming up. And so, but how would people, do they just Google recipes that they would need for this? Or, what if they don't know at all? What would they do?
Well, that's challenging. And that's why I do my coaching services. My coaching services really help you to look at your blood type, help you look at your needs. What are you trying to reverse? What did your ancestors eat, 6 generations ago when your DNA was being formed? Like all of these things. But the most important thing is to really get into foods that are natural, non-processed, raw. Those types of foods are the best starting point. And I know it's what everybody says: cut out processed sugars, cut out fats, cut out all these different things. But really, if you can leave it the way God intended it, it's going to be best for you. Like that's kind of where I start. And I have a book on Amazon that is really the 30-day process of the starting point of starting your health journey. It's like, if you don't know what to eat, you don't know what's out there, start nourishing your full body by diving in here. So we really break down the different foods to eat every day. There's a complete comprehensive list in the back that tells you what that food superpower is, how it's classified, whether it's classified as a antioxidant rich foods, which is color rich, or if it's a sulfur rich food, which we need sulfur so bad. It's one of the worst. It's one of the overlooked pieces in our diet every day that people neglect to see is sulfur rich foods. And then, you know, the correct amount of proteins, the whole nine, like it really encompasses all of that. So if you could imagine, probably like a combination of AIP, walls, Whole30, all of that, that's kind of how that's would be kind of the foundation of what my protocol is. But really emphasizing on lots of food. The problem with a lot of these other protocols is that, like, let's say AIP, yes, it calms all the inflammation down in your body. They've done a fantastic job of doing that. However, your body, when it goes into a healing mode, because you have calmed all that inflammation, now it's time to heal. If you don't give it enough nutrients, you're going to wear out of energy. Your body's going to start going to the low power mode, what I call low power mode, where you're just no energy. So that's why people say it's not sustaining, because there's not enough to fuel you to heal, because healing takes a lot of energy. So you have to be able to fuel those cells to regenerate and to heal. And that's what I wrote my book on, and really helping people get started there. So it's a fabulous resource. It's called Regeneration by A Body in Repair. But yeah, on Amazon. So yeah, I would say start there.
Okay, that's awesome. And you'll have to make sure you give me that link so we can put that in the show notes as well. So can you, so I know you have something, you said you have a health fair coming up. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So it really was birthed out of the finding, you know, my own struggles with my daughter and my dad, and knowing that it is frightening to face these challenges and health concerns on your own. And the key of having that third doctor that I met that said, I'll support you, you know, you go and do this on your own, and I'll be here to support you along the way. That was key. And that really is what I'm trying to bring in this health fair. So what this health fair looks like, it's a virtual health fair. Anybody can attend, and we're going to be going global pretty soon. So we will have what I call healers, because anybody who has a transformational process, a testimony of taking someone from point A to point B because of sickness, illness, whatever it is, and really helping them transform, that is my healers. So there's all types of healing modalities out there. And I've really learned that it takes, something's going to resonate with you. Not everybody's needs are the same. I really help people with autoimmune diseases. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I focus on. I really help you go through that process. But there are people that can literally teach you how to heal your body through sound technique, using your vocals, singing, and that elevates your frequency. And literally it all goes back to frequencies. So our body, like, if you think about the way God created the earth, he created it through voice, frequencies. And if you look at our cells and our DNA, everything goes back to frequency and energy. That's what we're made of. That's what all of creation is made of. So these are different ways of elevating those frequencies. And there's going to be some that resonate with you, that resonate differently with me, right? So this platform is about educating people on the different ways to heal your body with the unified voice that you can heal. Your body is amazing. You have the ability to do this, and we're going to support you. That is our message. And we want people who are seeking those healing, that have been frustrated in the medical industry. And we're not saying leave your doctors. We're saying take control of your health, like take control of your prognosis. You can accept the diagnosis, but you don't have to accept the prognosis. You can take that into your own hands and listen to the guidance that God's giving you. And in that's this platform, you're going to be able to hear and receive information from these people all across the globe and how to heal the body. We'll have herbalists on there. We'll have sound healers. We'll have all different types of techniques and systems and resources. It is so resource rich. That's one of the things that I've really stressed with all of my healers. What resources do you have that are free that you can give my people? Like that. And of course, being a homeschooling mama, I want everybody educated. Like I want the world to be educated on what's out there to benefit their lives and their families. Because, you know, when your health is better, your whole life is better.
Yeah.
It really is. When your health is in distress, your whole life is in distress. It affects your work performance. It affects your relationships. It affects your mothering techniques. It affects so many areas of your life. And as busy moms, we tend to take care of everybody else first, right? Yeah. We're always taking care of everybody else and not ourselves. So this is really a way to learn how to take care of yourself and be educated and informed, and really introduce you to some people who are very passionate about the transformational experiences they've had in their lives.
That is so incredible. How exciting. I'm excited, I'm excited for it. So good. So yeah. And how just even our physical and our spiritual, it's all one, it's all connected. So it's affecting everything, how you treat your body, food you put in, it affects your spirit, it affects all aspects of your life. So true.
And what the solutions out there currently in our healthcare system is, here, take this pill.
Yeah.
And I know that medication is needed. I know you can't, I'm not against conventional medicine at all. Don't hear me say that. However, I will say that there's alternative solutions to the healthcare system. There's alternative solutions out there for you to heal your body. And it may not come in a pill form. And you may have some transformational processes that your body needs to go through. I think our bodies carry the trauma. You know, it's fascinating in my practice. I find that people who have some chronic issues, I can always pinpoint it by asking them, what emotional thing happened 3 months prior to your symptoms showing up? And every single one of my clients, without a doubt, can immediately tell me, oh, I know exactly what it was. My son tried to commit suicide. Oh, that's what it is then. And so our body carries that. And that's a frequency. Those emotional traumas, frequencies, they're going to throw off your frequency. The first thing that we want to do whenever we're so low and in those frequencies, we're like, our only solution is, hey, let's change our diet. I need to eat better. I'm eating crap, right? Because we're in those low frequencies. So we're attracted to those low frequency foods. Canned food, processed food, low frequency. We're drawn to it subconsciously because that's the frequency that we're in. And so that takes its toll on our health, and our body is sending all of these warning signs, warning, warning, warning. You need to take care of this emotional trauma, right? We don't know how to. So when we start to say, oh, we need to change our diet, foods that are natural, foods that are God-given foods, they have a high frequency. They're very high frequency foods. And so that's our intuition. And God's, showing us, here, I've provided. There's miraculous provisions that you've had since the beginning of time right here. And I'm trying to elevate you out of this. Let's shift these frequencies. Let's find some healing here. And once you start to do that, then all of these things that you're able to really process, those emotional traumas that are triggering things inside your body. It's really phenomenal. It is an amazing way God has designed our body to communicate with us, but we don't realize it. We don't realize what it is.
Thank you so much, Jami, for sharing all this. I am so excited. I'm excited for your fair. And can you tell people where they can get in contact with you and about the fair? And we also put this information in the show notes.
the Alternative Healthcare Solutions on Facebook. That is our group where we're going to be sharing all of this information. We're going to be putting out the links for the tickets and everything else. The tickets will be available, I think, around May 1st. And June 8th is the first event. And like I said, it's going to be from June 8th bi-weekly from here on out. You're going to have every Thursday, every other Thursday, you're going to have this event where you can attend, learn about different ways of healing, get all of this information, and really dive in deep with these healers. At the same time, we are for people who subscribe and not just attend one event, but people who are really looking to change their lives. We have another community that's going to be included in your package for the subscription. That community is where you're going to be able to really dive in, and it's algorithm free. You're going to have a full directory of healers. You're also going to be able to select people who are near you. So if you need a support group because you need to deal with lupus, then it's going to pull up all of the people in your area that either help heal with that or have that themselves and are looking for a support group. It's going to be phenomenal. But all of that, you can find it on Facebook, Alternative Healthcare Solutions.
And did you have a gift for the listeners today?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want to offer a free ticket to our space for a first
Wow.
time. So anybody who's listening to today, I'd love to give you a free ticket to experience it once. I think it's going to be, even just the amount of information you're going to get from one event is going to be life-changing.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much, Jami. This has been so baffling in a way, but also just like it's really getting my mind going. Like there's so much out there to learn and things. So I appreciate you sharing what you have and the resources that you provide. This is so exciting. So do you have any last thoughts you want to share with the listeners today?
I think my last thoughts is anybody who's feeling connected to this message, I just want you to know that you can heal. You can heal your life. You can heal not just your health, but you can heal emotionally. God has miraculous provisions from the beginning of time that are available for you to receive. It's time to receive. It's time to transform your life.